Market, and Deli. Interview crew is Isla MacArthur on still camera, Starcy Grant on video, Nikolai Harvey on audio. Interview Elizabeth Holmes. I'd like to ask each of you separately a few questions about your background. How long have you lived in Marlboro?
I've lived in Marlboro since February 18th of last year, so 2005. It's been a year and a half.
Where did you move here from and why did you move to town?
Well, we lived in Marlboro prior to moving here, and we moved up here because we bought the store.
Would you please tell us a little bit about where you were born and lived as a child?
Sure. I was born in Baltimore, Maryland in 1964, and it's a pretty big city. I went to a private all-girls school for 12 years. I had 3 older sisters. I was glad to leave there and come and live up in the mountains.
What were your parents like?
Well, my dad was an engineer and an inventor. He was also a sailor. So when I was a kid, we'd spend our weekends out on the boat on the Chesapeake Bay. And my mother taught drama, so she always directed other plays at the school that I went to, and she was also a tennis coach. So she coached one of the opposing schools that I went to. So they were both really busy, active people, and both a little crazy. Yeah, that's about it, I guess.
How would each of you describe yourself when you were children?
When I was a child, I chewed a lot of bubble gum. I guess I was kind of a sensitive kid. I loved to play outside. I used to build tree houses all the time, play baseball with the kids down the street. Loved to read. I spent a lot of time in my room just reading books too. My mother was a terrible cook, so I learned how to cook early on. And that's why I'm cooking now. I don't know. I was just a kid.
May I ask each of you how old you are now?
I'll be 42 in about 3 weeks, so I'm 41.
Did you go to college?
I did. I went to college at the University of Maryland for a couple of years, and I went to the University of Colorado as well. I studied English literature. And then, deciding that I didn't want to be a teacher or a writer at the time, I wound up going to massage school and became a massage therapist. So I did that down the road, and I had a private practice in Brattleboro for about 13 years before we bought this place.
When did you study there?
Yep, English.
How would you describe your business?
How would I describe the business? Well, I think we wanted to create a store that had a lot of light, had some good, healthy, fresh food, good music. It was clean and bright and filled with humor. And so we worked really, really hard on welcoming everybody in, no matter who they are, and just having fun with people when they walk in the door. And I think that we really succeeded in that. And it's become a gathering place for people in the community that was necessary, because there really isn't any place in Marlboro where people can come together. And the nice thing is that when people come in from out of town, they always come back. They come in and go, wow, what a cool place. And so I feel like we've really done what we set out to do, which was to create a space for people that they could come in and have an enjoyable time and get something really to eat.
How have you learned to do the business side of your work?
I let Joyce do that.
How do you divide up the work of running the store?
I think it kind of falls into place naturally, because I'm really comfortable in the kitchen, and I do most of the baking and the cooking. So Joyce tends to do a lot more of the office stuff in the background and handling the financial piece. And then we both work the register and work the front. We've got 3 people that work for us, so that's been interesting, learning how to work with employees as well. Learned a lot. therapist for 13 years. I was a teacher for several years at a massage school. And Joyce will tell you all her different incarnations. But yeah, we both had lots of different experiences. Hold on for a second. Hey, Joyce. We've got somebody up front if you wouldn't mind bringing them up. We'll be right there, ma'am.
What caused you to
Oh, ma'am.
What caused?
It's Donna.
Hi, shopping, coffee, and
You're gonna get on the screen day.
did you get the paper? I love this place. It's awesome.
Yes.
What caused you to want to stop?
Don't get your newspaper. Oh, and here's Joyce.
different
Oh, yes,
jobs?
I must get my newspaper.
I don't think there's any job. Well, no, that's not
No?
true. There's probably been a couple jobs that I've done where I haven't liked people I work with or whatever. But most of the time, it was just that I was either deciding to move somewhere new. I've lived in Maryland. I've lived in Colorado. I've lived in Alaska. I've lived in Washington, and then here. So it's always just been about life shifts, but nothing else.
For how long have you owned Sweeties?
A year and a half.
Why did you want to become an interior store owner here in Marlboro?
Because I'm kind of insane. Why did we want to do this? I think we wanted to do it because it was an adventure, and because Joyce and I always go into little places and think how what we could do with this place. You know, we change this or have that, and so when we saw that the place was for sale, we thought, let's try it. So that was basically it. It was just a sense of adventure.
What were your ideas for changes you wanted to make to the store when you bought it?
Oh, well, the place needed a good cleaning, and it needed new lights, and you could see that the building, there was a lot of potential to bring in light, and there were cabinets and things in the windows that needed to be moved. And so we just, I guess we had a vision of what was possible here. We took out all the old shelves and we put in these new racks, and we sort of changed the way that the floor plan is set up with the coffee, and expanded what the deli sells, because before the deli was really pretty small. So we just saw that there was a lot of potential in the space, and that's what we did.
What further changes do you have planned?
Well, we've had a few suggestions. Somebody wants us to put a pool in the backyard, and we thought about soft ice cream, and that may happen down the road. We've put in an espresso machine recently, which has been great. In terms of what else we could do, people want to turn it into a dance floor. There's all kinds of brilliant ideas, but I think we've got our hands full right now.
How have your first years been as store owners?
A mix of overwhelming and incredibly exhausting and wonderfully fun. We love the community. We love all the people who come in, and sometimes you just really want to put your feet up and never stand up again.
Is running Sweeties different from what you thought it would be like before you became owners?
I think we knew it was going to be really hard work, but you never know until you're in something how much work it's going to be. So in some ways, it's exactly what we thought it would be. In other ways, there's always challenges, but there's also all kinds of really wonderful gifts that can be given to you.
How is it different?
I think the hours and working with employees, having to really, when I'm used to working on my own and by myself, so I haven't ever had to tell other people, I haven't had to manage other people. And so when you have employees who don't show up on time or sort of stand around twiddling their thumbs and not getting work done, and because Joyce and I work so hard all day, there are times when it's very frustrating because you want other people to have the same amount of dedication to the job that you do, but it's not their business that they don't. And I think staying on top of that and being able to be compassionate and have authority is a challenge sometimes, especially for me because I just like to play.
How is it just
watch it because this is the center where they all come to gather and talk. And that's been the great thing. And for me, being able to play and make recipes that people really enjoy brings me a lot of joy. And so to have people come in and love what I make really makes me happy. And that was something that I was hoping for.
It has been said that the center of a town is its post office and its junior store. Would you agree or disagree with that statement?
Absolutely agree.
Can you give me a general overview of the history of the store, such as when and who built it originally and who have been its owners over the time that existed?
Oh boy, okay. Well, we know it was Gillies back in the...
Gibby's.
Gibby's? It was Gibbsy's. Gibbsy's, sorry. I'm thinking of the fish shop. It was Gibbsy's and it was Whitney's. And then it was the Goots. And I know the Goots owned it for 11 years. Tried to sell it for 4. They owned it for 11 years and then we bought it. It became a store in 1957, I think. Late 50s. It was a Gulf station at one point. We've seen some cool pictures of it when the road was dirt and it was just this funky old shop. And the back, which is now our house, didn't have the second floor on it for a long time. The downstairs was a garage. And the Whitneys added onto it and turned it into an apartment, which we've renovated as well. So there's been a lot of incarnations, but my memory is kind of going blank because I know I have a camera on.
What people or ideas or experiences would you say have influenced your own thoughts about successfully running a store?
Oh, that's a big question. Can you repeat it one more time?
Yep. What people or ideas or experiences would you say have influenced your own thoughts about successfully running a store?
Oh boy. Well, I think having worked in a lot of restaurants and worked in retail and being a patron myself, I think whenever you shop someplace or whenever you go to a restaurant, the service is what impacts you the most in terms of how people treat you when you walk in the door. And I think that probably seeing the way that personal service has changed over the decades in my life, where now things are so automated and people don't necessarily look at you and welcome you when you come in the door, that sort of thing. That's something that we're losing in our culture, and I think it's really sad. And that's something that has affected me enough to want to create that here. That you come in and we do meet your eye and we do say hello. And people often don't know what to do. They're kind of shocked. So I think that has had an impact on me, but also coming from a family that's loving and silly and engaging, that being able to create intimate connections with people is really important, and that's influenced how we do this business. Absolutely.
How would you say the junior store as a type of store has changed during your lifetime?
You gotta repeat that one too.
How would you say the junior store as a type of store
Has changed in my lifetime. Well, I think they were disappearing for a while because now you can go to the big malls, the big grocery stores, and get whatever you need. But I also think that they're starting to have a comeback in Vermont because people are yearning for these kind of funky little places where they can go and shop and find everything they need. So I think that people are yearning for a time that once was that sort of disappeared. So that's where the niche is here.
In your opinion, what are some of the difficulties that you and junior stores of your size face today?
Well, one of the big ones is ordering product. Like, say we want to order cookies and bread and a bunch of other things from the store. Most of the companies that you order from require you to spend a large sum of money with each order. And because we're a small store and we don't have a lot of storage space, sometimes we can't meet that amount. Say they want us to buy $500 worth of merchandise and we can't fill that then we can't get an order. So most distributing companies do expect you to spend a lot of money, and they get business from places like Hannaford or Price Chopper, the big stores. They can afford to store it all in the back, and they have plenty of warehouse room. We just don't have that, so often we're kind of left behind in that way. We have to wait a long time before we can make big orders. So we have to limit what we carry because of that. I'd like to be able to have things like more organic products and yeah, just basically some more natural foods and fresh produce and that sort of thing. But we don't have the space for it, and we can't afford to pay for it because we're just not.
Would you describe what the main activities of your business are?
Oh, yeah. Cooking. I'm up at 5 a.m. and I start baking at 5. And then I make coffee at around 6. We open at 7. We cook all morning. We make sandwiches at lunchtime throughout the day. So basically, somebody's always in the back making something. Somebody's always at the register ringing things up. We have to keep the place clean and swept and wiped down and refill. And then there's the whole element of making sure that the money's coming in, the money's going out to the proper channels, the bills are being paid. So there's a lot of factors that come into it, as well as making sure we have enough product and stocking and all the beverages that come in. So we're constantly getting deliveries. And so it's a multifaceted thing. There's a lot going on during the day. Yeah.
What people or experiences would you say have influenced each of you in your personal lives?
That's a big question. Well, one of the things that I can think of that brings me to New England is that I spent my summers in New Hampshire as a kid. And so that's one of the reasons why I came here. And I don't think that I'd be doing this if I weren't here. And I also think having grown up in a big city, that small town life was always appealing to me because I really want to get to know people. So that's a piece of it. And I think having parents that were really creative and always told me that I could do whatever I dreamed of has allowed me to kind of try a lot of different jobs and say, oh, well, maybe I can try this and be successful. And I haven't been afraid of jumping into things. I guess that's it.
And in what ways have they influenced you?
Who, my parents? Or the... I think I messed up the question.
Well, I asked you what people or experiences would you say have influenced each of you in your personal lives?
Right.
And now I'm asking you, in what ways have they influenced you?
The people? Oh, I thought that I just said that. It seems like the same question.
Who is a typical buyer at the store?
Oh, let's see. Well, we've got our daily people that come in for their coffee in the morning. We've got regular people that come in for breakfast every morning. And then, of course, we sell gasoline as well, so we get lots of people coming through down the highway, back and forth. So people from New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, all over the place. So it's really kind of an eclectic mix, but the town people are regular shoppers. On a daily basis, we have probably 20 people come in every day to see.
The people who buy, are they local people or from away?
Both.
Would each of you please describe a typical day at work?
Yep. Up at 5, feed the dogs, get them outside, come in, make scones, make muffins, make pastries, make coffee, open the doors, get everything set, and open the doors, and start cooking and dealing with the customers. Take in deliveries, write lots of checks, answer the phone, put things in the freezers, put them in the fridge, stock all the stock on the shelves, make sure the floor's clean, handle the gasoline, hopefully run screaming out of the building for about 2 hours and then come back.
What are some of the seasonal differences in your business?
Our biggest season seems to be summertime with the music festival and the dog camp up at Marlboro College this week. So summers are crazy. We get lots of motorcycle riders that come up from Laconia in the summertime, so they pile in. And then there's a little bit of lull after Labor Day for a couple of weeks, and then when foliage hits, it's really busy again during foliage season. And then you've got Christmas and skiers, and the ski season, it really depends on the snow. If it's busy, if it's snowy, it's busy, because we get lots of snowmobilers and skiers. But like this past winter, we didn't get a whole lot of snow, so it wasn't quite as many people as it was the year before. So that's pretty much it. And spring is pretty quiet. Mostly locals, because nobody can drive through the mud.
What do you feel are the more important parts of your job?
Customer service, being present and treating every customer as the most important person in the world when they're there with me. Making sure the food is consistent and fresh and delicious. And keeping the place clean. But mainly it's about working with each person when they come in and making them feel good.
In what ways does your job benefit others?
I think that we brighten people's day when they come in, because, you know, if we call you by name and ask you how you're doing, and ask about a certain part of your life, or if something's in particular going on, we know it makes people feel connected, and that's really important. So I think that that's probably it, and knowing that you can come in here and be teased is a nice thing, because we will tease you.
What are some of the parts of your job you really like?
I think customer service, working with people, that's probably the part that I like the best.
What are the parts of your job you dislike?
The long hours. I wish that I had a little more time to myself. And the heat in the summertime. That's really hard sometimes. And I wish that people could be more patient when we're busy. For making sandwiches, I like everybody to just sort of sit back, it'll get done. But otherwise, everything else is just what it's supposed to be.
What do you see as the future of the store in Marlboro?
Well, I think we're doing pretty well right now, and it could be that down the road, ice cream goes in the summertime. See how that goes, and I think we're just going to keep rolling along as is, and as people ask us to carry different things, then we will. But right now, I think we're doing pretty well with what we've got.
Is there anything else about your life or work that you would like to mention, but that I haven't you asked about?
Can't think of anything. I think you covered it.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Cut.
Today is Friday, June 7th, 2006. We are at Sweetie's Market in Delaware. The interview crew is Alan MacArthur on still cameras, Cersei Brown on video, Nikolai Harvey on audio, and Elizabeth Holmesworth on interview. I'd like to ask each of you separately a few questions about your background. How long have you lived in
No, I
Marlboro?
think that a year and a half.
Where did you move here from, and why did you move to town?
Moved here a year and a half ago when we bought the store from Rutherford.
Would you please tell us a little bit about where you were born and lived as a child?
I grew up in Manchester, New Hampshire, the largest city in the state of New Hampshire. And yeah, there and my education was public school, elementary school as well as high school. I grew up in a family of 7. I have 3 older brothers and 3 older sisters. My mom, my dad, and my grandmother as well.
What were your parents like? What were their occupations?
My dad, funny guy, he worked for, he had several businesses, a small business owner, as well as worked for the federal government in the small business administration. And my mom, this is a very wonderful, wonderful woman. She was an at-home mom for many, many years until I think I was in grade school, and then she was the deputy city clerk for the city of Manchester.
Would each of you describe yourself when you were children? Would you describe yourself when you were a child?
Very adventuresome and curious. Very curious about the world, mostly. Curious about my natural surroundings. Adventuresome very athletic. Love to read, love to play sports. I was always up for an adventure.
May I ask each of you how old you are now?
Sure, I'm 43.
Did you go to college?
Yes, I attended the University of Colorado in Boulder, as well as the University of New Hampshire. And in addition to that, I attended Vermont College. So a combination of all of that, I have 2 degrees, one in business and one in a large degree as well. But in addition to that, I've also attended auctioneering school, so I'm an auctioneer and a certified personal property appraiser. So I've done that as well.
When did you study that?
I studied when I was at the University of Colorado and the University of New Hampshire. I studied outdoor education and also business as well.
How would you describe your business?
Our business is very people-oriented. It's a very demanding business. It's a business that requires lots of energy, both physical and emotional energy, because we're constantly dealing with people coming in and out of the doors. So I would describe it as a very sort of hands-on business where you're interacting with the public. And it's what I consider it's a retail business because we sell merchandise. We also sell gasoline and we have food, so we're also preparing food.
How would you divide up the work running up the store?
My tasks are mostly sort of from the business perspective. I handle all the accounting for the business. I do all the ordering and the shelving of the merchandise and determining what products we're going to sell and what products we want to discontinue to sell. So that's a big part of my part, and also just being on the front too.
Have each of you had any jobs other than your business now?
Have we had other jobs before doing this? Yes, many jobs. Starting, I think, from when I graduated high school, took a long time off before I went to college and started my own hot dog cart. So I was an entrepreneur at age 18, and since then I've run outdoor programs and an outdoor theater for several organizations. I've also worked for Community Land Trust, where I help families build their own houses. I also worked in a high school as a teacher, high school age kids, and I've also, let's see, what else have I done? I've done so many different things. I was an auctioneer in my own small auction business, as well as an appraisal business where I go and appraise people's items that they want to appraise. And I also worked for the elderly as an activity director where I organize activities for elders. So kind of a lot of different jobs I've done, as well as working in restaurants when I was in college.
Have each of you had what else have you done and what caused you to stop doing it?
What else have I done? In terms of work?
Yeah, like what caused you to stop doing the jobs?
I guess for me it's really about continuing to learn and being able to try out new skills. Some skills that I hadn't that I've learned new skills and therefore I wanted to try it out. So it was my business skills that I wanted to sort of refine and bring to this position. And I think it was more relocating from one state to another caused changes in jobs. But it's mostly been about being curious and what's next. It's again that little adventuresome spirit that I have.
For how long have you owned Sweeties?
A year and a half.
Why did you want to become a giant store owner?
One of the sort of my goals, my own personal philosophy in life too, was to be able to have a business in a very small community where people come together and have a real central place. And Sweeties has served that need for the community and also for us. It's very satisfying to be able to offer whatever it is that we offer, some fun, some upbeat playfulness, and people to come in and gather and come together as a community. So we're wanting to be not only part of the community, but being an integral part by being a owner of the business. very similar vision in terms of taking it from how the store had been for many, many years, 40, almost 50 years, and bringing it more current in terms of offering different types of food, bringing in more health and organic choices for people, but not alienating anyone, not putting aside the other foods that people want. So bringing in some new energy, just kind of changing around the inside, making it flow much better in terms of a traffic pattern for people. Definitely wanted to change the lighting and change just the whole feel of sort of the environment. So when people walk in through the doors, it's more of an experience for them. And I think that we've done that quite successfully, just by the changes that we see.
What further changes do you have planned?
Well, additional changes, besides sort of different products that we'll sell, will be just on the outside of the building, just sprucing that up a little bit, just cosmetic changes. And really just staying up with the times, and staying on the beat of what the trends are with this type of retail business, and trying to stay at the forefront of that and make changes and be accommodating to what the public demands.
How have your first years been as store owners?
Oh, I think it's been just about everything. It's been every sort of emotional experience that you can imagine, as well as physical challenges. It's a lot of work, a lot of hours, but it's been a lot of joy to people, I think, who are our customers that come in and just make it fun, make the experience worthwhile.
Is running Sweeties different from what you thought it would be like before you became owners?
We don't know if it's that much different than we thought. Certainly, I think based on experience, until you do something you don't really know, until you're into it, you don't really know what it's about. I mean, we certainly expected long hours, we expected sort of challenges, whether it's with employees or a vendor or just sort of day-to-day challenges that we have. We would have expected those, but again, we never been quite prepared for those. So I guess there hasn't been any surprises really.
How was it just the way you thought it would be?
Oh, I think sort of the fun and the playfulness of the people and sort of being the center of the community has been really what we were looking for. That was what we expected. That's what obviously sort of the business aspect of it, sort of the amount of business that's coming into the store that has increased, and we've done a great job at increasing the sales of the business. So that's been a real positive experience.
It has been said that the center of a town is its post office and its general store. Would you agree or disagree with this statement?
Oh, absolutely. I think even though the way that Marlboro is laid out, not most, but many towns often have the general store right next to the post office. Those are real hubs and have been for years and years and years. But here, it definitely, to me, seems like it is a real hub. I think hosts community events. People come here, and now that we have this counter here, people come and meet to discuss what's happening in the community or are meeting about various committees that they have in town. So I think that this is definitely a center in addition to the post office. Geographically, they're separate.
Can you give me a general overview of the history of the store, such as when and who built it originally, and who have been its owners over the time that existed?
It was built in the late 50s by a husband and wife. Gibby was his name, Gilbert Gibb, and his wife's name was Florence. They built it as it was just a filling station. And then I believe they added on the store. After that, it was bought by Joyce and Hugh Whitney, and they added on the apartment section of it, as well as they added on some space to the rear of the building. They owned it for a number of years, raised some kids here, and they sold it to Crafts, which was a husband and wife team who ran the store, and then I think a son and daughter-in-law came in and helped them manage the store. And then the Crafts sold it to the Goots, who are our our predecessors who we purchased the store from, who owned it for 11 years, and they raised 2 kids here and worked real stronghold in the community for 11 years, and worked really hard to turn around and sell it too.
What people or ideas or experiences would you say have influenced your own thoughts about successfully running a store?
Personally, my family has been a big factor in sort of personally influencing me. My dad sort of had a real strong business mind and was really good with numbers and really taught all of us, all his children, so, the importance of making money and how to be conservative with your money and what the meaning of it, and what hard work means. And the same with my mom, they were both incredibly hard workers. And I think my grandmother as well. I think that they influenced me in a way that it's not surprising that I'm running a store right now because of those influences, as well as many teachers who I've had and professors at college who really have steered me in this direction.
How would you say that joining a store as a type of store has changed during your life?
Well, it's funny. As a small child, I remember going to our local corner store, and they weren't open on Sundays because that was back when they had food laws, and so they couldn't open on Sundays. And we could go to the back of the store, knock on the door, and ask Mr. and Mrs. Johnson if we could buy some candy, and we were able to bring our little bag and say, we want some 5-cent candy, and they'd fill it up. And that doesn't. We don't have people knocking on our doors unless it's an emergency and they need to get, the fire chief needs gas or something for an emergency. But I think the way it has changed is that stores are open a lot more hours. The customers expecting a lot more from sort of the convenience type store. They're expecting that people are here 24/7. And what's so unique about our businesses is that we, from the very beginning, have decided that we don't only open 6 days a week, but we really wanted to respect that and give it a day of rest. And people have gotten used to that, but that's extremely unusual in this kind of work. So I think the way it's changed is this type of food that's being served in a business like this as well as the amount of hours. And I think, again, this is kind of going off the track a little bit, but what David and I have seen that's different than what we offer is that we make contact with people. They come in, we recognize you. If you go to a similar store like this, Chances being, you just come in and the person that's waiting on you isn't even going to recognize you. So I think that human contact has gotten lost, and the real respect for another person has gotten lost over the years. We're trying to do like what we knew of when we were kids and try to keep that sort of friendliness and openness. So we're trying to keep that going.
In your opinion, what are some of the difficulties that you and junior stores of your size face today?
I think, one of the biggest challenges is larger stores coming in, bigger corporations, not only our industry, but many other businesses. They can sell for less than we can. We have to pay huge trucking fees and transportation and gas prices. I'm sure you hear your folks talk about how expensive it is to fill a car up these days. Well, we also sell gasoline, so we have people that will drive down the road if it's a few pennies less per gallon. And really, where we make money is when people come in. It's like they'll fill up their gas, but they'll also come in the door and buy other products. And if we don't have people buying gas, we lose that customer. They're not coming in patronizing the inside of the store and buying products. So I think that the smaller stores are a dying breed because you have big corporations that own those other stores and they have lots of money and they can afford to buy in huge quantities and sell the products for less. So that's one of the biggest challenges is the big box stores and the big businesses that really impact us.
Would you describe what the main activities of your business are?
Our main activities, it's retail, it's gasoline sales, it's deli sales, coffee, we sell lots of coffee and wine here. So it's a combination of all of those that really make the
What people or experiences would you say have influenced each of you in your personal lives?
Again, I think that has to go back to my family. They've been the biggest influence on my family, and certainly some really dear friends of mine. Whatever I've chosen to do in my life, they've been supportive and said, yeah, go for it. Even when I said, think about buying a gas station and a grocery store, and they said, go for it. You'll make it great. So their influences have been really great, and their encouragement as well.
Who is a typical buyer at the store?
Typical buyer? I'd say it's sort of a middle-aged person. You know, like young customers, but I'd say a middle-aged person, middle-aged male customer is probably our average sort of Joe that comes in, just a construction worker type person that comes in every day to get their coffee and their food and whatever else that they need. So that's probably the average Joe, I would say.
Are they local people or from away?
I'd say they're local. I mean, this time of year we're heading to a really busy time, and we get lots of people from all over, traveling from all over the world. But I'd say the average is a local person.
What are some of the seasonal differences in your business?
We sort of have three big seasons. Summertime, which is a really busy time because we have lots of activities happening up at the college, which includes the Marlboro Music Festival, as well as the summer tourist. And in the fall, as you all know, that's a big time for us for leaf peepers, depending on what the foliage is on the trees. That's a big season. And then we also have the winter ski season. It's a really busy. Skiers go through, snowmobilers, depending if, like this past year, we didn't get a lot of snowmobilers because we didn't get a lot of snow. But those are the three big seasons. Then we have, mud season, which we don't see some customers for like these 3 or 4 weeks that mud season happens. But those are our three big seasons.
What do you feel are the more important parts of your job?
The more important part, well, everything is important because one task builds upon another. But our customers are the most important part of us because if we don't have a customer, we don't have a business. So that's our main focus. But keeping the books in order and making sure our pluses and minuses and debits and credits are all balancing out. That's another interesting part.
In what ways does your job benefit others?
I think it better because we're offering a service to the customer. Yes, if we weren't here, sure, there's other stores that they could go to, but I think what I feel like we offer is something more than just our products. Because if you're going to smile at them, you're going to make people feel good and acknowledge another person. That may be the only contact they have all day long. It's I want it to be at least pleasurable or at least feel like they've made a connection. So that's
What are some of the parts of your job you like?
I like the people. I like the numbers part. I like figuring out what's going to sell, what's not going to sell, and how we continue to build the business. There's a challenge in that, but I think the people is probably the best part, and the staff that we have that works for us is they're a lot of fun. That's a big part.
What are the parts of your job you dislike?
Grumpy people are a real drag. Depending on a daily basis, sometimes some tasks seem a little more challenging than others, but really just grumpy people, just real abrasiveness. That's probably the part I don't very much.
What do you see as the future of the store in Marlboro?
The future, I think it remains to be seen in terms of what the demands are that creates that, or maybe the next person that comes up.
Is there anything else about your life or work that you would like to mention or that I haven't asked about?
Did you ask what our dogs' names are? They're an integral part of the store. Yeah, it's easy.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.